What's up guys, this is Scher talking, welcome back to my channel. On today's video, I'll be making a full review for Tsunanori's Mido banner. This is also the first video I'm recording on my new studio of sorts. Still the same house, but I had a space that was not being utilized. Now, I am not on the entrance of my house anymore. I have a dedicated place and this is amazing. Now, I will be talking about Tsunanori Mido, that is support that can give you defense. He can also give you HP healing, PP generation, and can pack some good damage as well. Then Siugnas, that is a heavy damage dealer of slash and shadow damage, but can also give defense boost and other effects to the party, but he uses LP in trade-off. And then Diva number 5, that is a tank that can taunt and buffs when attacking, when being hit, and also chases multiple times when she's hit with a 50% chance. Now, let's start talking about Tsuna. He gives a name to the banner and is the best character of all of them. And 138% dexterity is a very high number for someone that should be support. 111 endurance and will are a very safe follow with 99% agility. That's also pretty good. You don't need to care about intelligence though. Let's move on. He has a 40% damage increase at all times alongside an 80% as well. He reduces damage taken to himself by 30%. But then he will increase damage for everyone, including himself, by 30%, and then reduces damage taken by 30% for everyone as well. So those are pretty nice effects, and it's 40 plus 80, 120, and then another 30 for 150% damage potential right from start. And then he has hit ups of 30%, 5 times per battle, giving him another 150. This guy can reach 300% damage potential, but not just that. When he lands an attack, in spoiler, he can attack 3 times. He gives an attack boost of 15% for everyone. That lasts for 2 turns. He also gives a defense boost that increases damage taken by 10%, lasts for 2 turns, and also buff all status by 15%. Since it's 3 times, that means you're gonna give 45% status buff when you are attacking. And you will also apply up to 6 defense boosters by attacking alongside 45% status buffs. Pretty amazing. And he also has 20 BP when he starts a fight. Every turn he blocks 1 damage. He also has 1 extra BP, but then he gives 1 extra for everyone, including himself. So every turn he has at least 5. He will also recover everyone's HP by around 400. But now, there's much more to discuss about Tsunanori Mido, and the first skill is called Downsting. It is a single target pierce attack that can cast morale down to the enemy. It's not a fast skill though. His agility may not be the highest, and the enemy can still attack before you, but morale down means you will decrease damage by 25% at the source. For 2 BP, it's actually pretty nice. Then we have Kugutsu Combination. This is a single target attack that can only be used once per battle, and before attack, he will grant you this Kugutsu Blitz. And Kugutsu Blitz will give you a chase that is called Kugutsu Ground Flash. And this one has double S power, and it will grant himself an attack boost that will improve his damage by 50% for 3 turns. So after using it 3 times, you can get 150% damage increase from this. And then we will recover all surviving allies HP by around 400 and also give 1 BP to everyone. And then after that, launches the attack and grants himself an extra 4 spears that will improve pierce damage by 50% on the end of calculations. Extra 4 is the biggest way to improve your damage right now in the game. You also grant himself defense up to decrease damage taken to himself by 20% for the whole fight. The attack itself is just 8 power, but you just get the chase right when using the skill, so that's actually pretty nice. But then you have to use an inheritance from his welfare style, called Kugutsu Summon on turn 2. This is a 12 BP skill as well, pierce and slash this time, and can only be used once per fight, but before attack you grant the user Kugutsu follow-up. That is how he reaches a turn attack. This will trigger Kugutsu Flash, that is an 8 power attack, so much weaker, that will also recover all surviving allies HP and give 1 BP to everyone and has a chance to stun. The chance to stun is to work on road blocker, that's why he has some intelligence. Well, kind of a waste, but it's here because of that. Okay, then this skill will also try to stun, and the first time you use it will also heal HP and give BP to everyone. Now, then Tsunanori Mido will be giving 3 BP to everyone, but 4 to himself. He would then be giving 3 different healings, 1 on start of turn, 2 on attack, and his buffs are when he's attacking. And that's very nice because his second skill is what you'll be cycling between skill 1, and it's a single target fast triple S power attack that will also give you the extra force pierce medium. That will improve pierce damage by 50% for 2 turns. That means that you can use this skill first if you want, or downsting if you want, and then cycle between both, because you're still gonna get some very good damage. Now, that is actually pretty impressive. Tsunanori Mido is kind of the protagonist on Emerald Beyond, although there is no real protagonist, but he's like the new upcoming off support that will totally beat the support we got with Leon. Remember Leon? Leon can still beat Tsuna if you need to buff Endurance when you are hit in those situations. Leon can help, they can still be used together, and you can also give 5 BP by use of Merciful Light, that sometimes will speed up the usage of some other skills. And they use different weapons. You still be using Leon on Remembrance, and you will be using Tsuna in most challenges. Also, Tsuna rivals Liz, actually beats her out of the water. Liz is still useful somehow. In some fights you may need 2 defensive boost specialists, and she was very nice because she could start the fight using defense boost, large, and a guard up, large, alongside status buffs on start of turn and another defense boost. That has been very helpful in many fights, but Tsuna is the best support now. You can just place him in any squad and he's gonna work. Because he uses S's words, it's even better because we don't have that many strong damage dealers on Remembrance. Even if you got Dark, they are pretty different in the way they operate. Tsuna attacks 3 times, Dark attacks multiple times. But the amount of effects you can bring with Tsunanori Mido makes him really, really special. He's a 5 out of 5 and theoretically get a 5.5 even because of such a good kit. The next one will be Siugnas, and he has 131% STR, 100% Endurance and Will. Those are just average values, but they are okay. Agility 95 and Intelligence with 102%. Let's move. He has a 40% damage improvement and then 30%, so 70 total. When he's attacked, he reduces damage taken by 40% at all times, and then by 30% again, and then by another 40% if he resists. Then the most important thing about him is that he will take 4 LP of the squad when you bring Siugnas. So that's worse than Leon even, because it's everyone that takes this hit besides him, because he actually loses 3, but he can recover. He can recover via usage of skills. So if a boss fight does not do LP damage, that's not much of a problem, since in this game if someone dies you can hardly revive unless you have Shirei. So you're going to get a lot of other stuff as a trade-off. On the start of a turn, he'll grant all other surviving allies, so not to himself, a heat up of extreme effect that will improve damage potential by 30% for the whole fight, and then a defense up that will decrease damage taken for the whole fight by 20%. So 90% total from heat up, and 3 stacks of minus 20% from defense up. Besides, when he lands a normal attack, he recovers 2 LP, but there are better ways to recover LP that we'll be discussing later. Now, he will also trigger Cursed Quartet every time that he attacks 2 times. That's right, 4 hits with C power. And that means 8 hits total. There's no extra effect like improving damage on each hit, but each hit does much more damage than Kihachi's does. Not really the double, but it does much more. There are ways to improve Siugnas' damage to rival Kihachi, but we'll be discussing that later. Now, when he attacks, he will always recover his HP by around 1.5 thousand and chase with Cursed Quartet 2 times. That is a Slash and Shadow attack with 4 hits and C power. So these hits are much stronger than Kihachi's, but it's just 8 hits total, while Kihachi via chase can do 16. There are still ways to improve Siugnas' damage to rival Kihachi, but we'll be discussing this later. He will also give a special passive to all other surviving allies, so not to himself, that when they land an attack, they will be debuffing the enemy's endurance, agility, intelligence, and will by 5%, but also 400 HP healing. But if you are using an AoE attack, you can actually debuff everyone's. But the only status that really matter here is intelligence, because this can be used to avoid being inflicted with ailments, with debuffs, and reduce the damage from spells. Will is made so that he can help versus Road Blocker. Debuffing Will of the enemy will allow you to stun easier, but endurance and agility won't be that important, although agility does help you decrease damage from MRs, but you still need to debuff SGR to have a perfect setup. The good thing about this is that there's no limit. If your character has multiple chains, you keep debuffing the enemy. Okay, not the best debuffer, but it's just an extra effect that you have with this character. Skill number 1, Red Absorb. It's a single target shadow spell. That's why he has to have a sword with shadow element that you get in his book. And it can only be used once per battle, and before attacking, all other surviving allies will lose 20% of their HP as recoil, but then he will recover his LP by 1 and will grant Elemental Enhanced Shadow that will improve his shadow damage by 30%, and then he will launch an attack with S power. And then he will give another stack of hit up and defense up to allies. So actually the hit ups can reach 120%, and you can have 4 defense ups of minus 20% damage taken. That is a lot for a character to do damage, and why it will be much easier to Siugnas instead of Kihachi in many fights to come. Then, okay, you recovered 1 LP, you now have 4, and you want to use his best attack. You have 2 very good ones. There is Crimson Shadow 8-fold Slash. That is the one that you'll be using most of the time. It's slashing shadow damage and attacks 8 times with E power, which like Kihachi. And when you attack, each hit has a 10% chance to trigger 1 more LP, because this skill, it's free to use, but uses 2 LP. Okay, so you start the fight with 4, you can only use this once, but if you trigger it even once by attacking, well, you have 10 chances of 10%. You can use it right after again. But you may also want to use Nightmare Bat, because this is a single target attack, slash and shadow, and when the attack lands, grants the target only down large that decreases the damage at the source by 35%. Well, Tsuna version is just 25%, his one is bigger and lasts for 5 turns. You can even use this on turn 1, for example, and then use it again only on turn 6 or 5, because this is not a fast skill. You may actually want to use 1 turn before to guarantee. We'll also apply Guard Down Large that decreases defense of the enemy by 35%, also for 5 turns. And then we'll grant him a Fantasia passive that has a 37% chance to evade any attack. The attack is pretty powerful on 4S, and you will still chase 2 times for hits of C power. Damage is nice even from the start. And then, if you didn't recover 1 LP by use of Crimson Shadow 8-fold Slash, what are you going to do? You have to recover either via normal attack or via Blood of Shadow Blade. That is an attack that, for attacking, you give him an attack boost. This attack boost is 20%, and will recover his LP by 3 points. Much better than just using a normal attack. Then he launches an attack that's much similar to an E-power one. I don't think it's useful to use his skill number 3, because this one debuffs SGR and Will. And although the other allies will not be debuffing SGR, and if you debuff via this skill could theoretically make an impact, it will only matter if you have a secondary debuffer as well, because 30% is not really game changing. And debuffing Will also helps him help more on, also helps with Road Blocker, although I don't think you need that much. Okay, so back to Siugnas. This guy is pretty different than other damage dealers. It still has somehow a gimmick similar to Leon, but even worse, because now it's for the whole squad. But then again, he gives you a lot of sustain to make up for that. 4 stacks of defense up of 20% can really change the tide of battle. And you can pair him up with people like Johan. For now, Johan is a damage dealer that evades and blocks, but he also applies weak points slash defense down to the enemy, but also slash defense down via his attacks. So Siugnas attacks multiple times, you're gonna do more damage. Other type of characters that you can use are those like Creator, that has the Thunder effect from his Sun Shower. If you have it, it's a pretty good inheritance. So every new hit will apply defense down. But all of these characters can still combo together with Kihachi. You can bring Kihachi together with Siugnas so that they can keep decreasing the defense of the enemy. But now there is something else. In the near future, we're gonna get another character that will help Siugnas by a lot, and it was just announced in today's reset, and that one is Dolores. Dolores is a slash in shadow damage dealer that will also improve your damage, decrease the resistance of the enemy, and there is still other characters like, for example, Saruin, that gives you extra effects when using shadow attacks, like 3 extra BP and shadow damage improvement for the whole squad. But we'll be getting more and more shadow plus slash damage dealers. There is also Fake Gustav. There is pretty interesting because he actually has the same chase attack, Crusade Quartet, also twice. But is Siugnas better than Kihachi? Well, right now, no. Kihachi has a very good companion that is Madeline, that gives her a lot of damage improvements via decreasing the lightning resistance of the enemy. And if you want to use her for cold damage, you can also bring Farnews. That really improves her damage. And just remember that with the latest Kihachi, you can actually attack 24 times for many turns in sequence. While Siugnas still has to sometimes use different skills, but since he brings defense up to the party and even heat ups alongside ways to self-heal and debuff the enemies, you have a lot. Many fights are just gonna bring Siugnas because it's easier to survive and kill the enemy than just die while trying to nuke. Siugnas' damage potential will be seeing improvements in the future, so very nice character, deserves a 5 out of 5 as well. Let's move on into Diva, and she's the last one and the one that got the best buffs in this new banner. Yes, 132% endurance and will, those are very high values, and 101% STR, kinda bad. And the agility is kind of bad too, only 91%. This should have been higher because she wants to be fast, even when using fast skills. Let's move on. She starts the fight with MVP, but gets 5 total every turn. And then she enters a town stance of large effects, not medium. So it's bigger than some other tanks. Lasts for 4 turns, but she does not apply stealth to other allies. So she doesn't have the best type of taunt. But that is also okay because she has a 50% chance to cover an ally when this ally is being attacked. So even when the enemy uses an AoE attack, Diva will take that ally place, and only 4 of your characters will take damage. Diva plus another 3. So it's okay. 50% chance is nice. When we had 25% chance, it was pretty unreliable, but that's just good. Now, and when being attacked, she has a 50% chance to grant herself Crescendo Blade for 1 time. It lasts for 4 turns. What is Crescendo Blade? After you activate an overdrive attack, you're gonna chase with Blade Plus. Blade Plus, not that strong, it's just an 8 power attack, but it also gives you a slash attack boost. This will improve slash damage by 30% as a chase. It lasts for 2 turns, so it will stack, and you're gonna use Blade Plus a lot, but more about that later. Now, when landing an attack, you will always chase 2 times with Blade Plus already. So 2 times 8 power, but increasing your slash damage by 30%. Also, on every 3 turns, she will chase with another attack called Tornado Shield. That is much stronger, double S power. And it also has additional effects. It will give you a Guard Up Extreme that will decrease damage taken by 60%, and also 2 hits of damage block for that turn only. So that's pretty nice. Then, when attacked, Diva number 5 will decrease damage taken by 50% at all times. By the end of a turn, will also cleanse any status ailments. Now we get to the very good part. Offensive Defensive Mastery 2. When you are being attacked, you are going to grant all surviving allies a defense boost that will decrease damage taken by 15%, and also buffs Endurance, Will, Love, and Charisma by 15% too. Now, That is amazing because look, we had Siugnas, and Siugnas will give you the defense boost part, but his version was just 10%. And then we had characters like Emperor, and Emperor was capable of buffing Endurance and Will, but only when he was attacking. He could attack twice via counter, so theoretically he could also stack a lot of Endurance and Will buffs, but we have even higher buffs there. So two of the best tanks. But we should also talk about Formina, because Formina also gives a defense boost. Hers is 10%. And when she lands an attack, she'll be buffing offensive part of allies and not the defensive part. So in this regard, as a pure tank, Diva is the best one, because she will be increasing your sustain, but also herself, and decreasing damage taken via different ways: defense boost and status buff. But now, when she's attacking, she will grant all surviving allies an attack boost of 15% for 2 turns in stacks, and also SGR, Dexterity, Agility, and Intelligence buff of 15%. So when you attack, you're going to improve damage. When you are attacking, you're going to decrease damage. That's amazing. So first skill is called Sol, and that is a slash deep power attack for free that will also apply slash defense down to the enemy 15% on max level and has a chance to instant kill. It's just something for free so that you don't have to use a normal attack. And then we have Tornado Shield, that skill that we already discussed. That is okay if you really want a tank, but I don't think you're gonna use this too much. But her best skill is Full Aura Blade. That is a fast single target attack with slash damage that before attacking grants tempo up blade for 2 turns. So that is extra chase with Blade Plus. And this skill cost MVP, has double S power, and you're gonna chase in this turn, and then on the next one, meaning that if you use this skill twice in a row, you have 1 attack followed up by 4 Blade Plus, and each new Blade Plus will do more damage since you are buffing your slash damage. Okay, when you look on all of this, it doesn't seem to be so strong, does it? But then here it comes the trick. I said you have 50% chance to get the Crescendo Blade 1 time for 4 turns. Because Diva has cover in town, she's gonna get hit a lot. She's going to enter overdrive every 2 turns, even without anything that gives her OG, or any other character that will give her OG. Even just using the over accelerate formation will help. But sometimes you may actually wanna wait to use Diva's overdrive. You don't have to hurry. Why is that? Because look, when you are on overdrive, just gonna use that Full Aura Blade, and then you're gonna attack already 5 times. Remember that when you are attacking 5 times, you are also buffing 5 times with attack boost. That is a 75% total. And then you're also going to buff SGR, Dexterity, Agility, and Intelligence of everyone by 75%. Now imagine in the recent fights where enemies attacks like 10 times in a turn. That means that, say the average, you get 5 stacks of Blade Plus, and then you use overdrive on turn 3. Okay, so in that moment, you stack it, for example, 10 Blade Plus. With your other 5, you're gonna attack 15 times in that turn, and that is really normal. I have been using Diva number 5 and she's so fun to use. So 15 times 15% means 225% attack boost and 225% status buffs. From what I heard, the max status buff you can get in this game is 450. And Diva is an easy way to reach the max, even now when the game is always buff breaking our characters. Because of this, I managed to finish a roadblocker fight on ReUniverSe in 3 turns. Diva is just that crazy. She will improve the damage of any of your damage dealers, Kihachi especially, and other ones that apply weak point focus by decreasing the defense of the enemy, because in those scenarios, status buffs will improve damage by quite a lot. Okay, so Diva number 5 still has an inheritance, right? Beautiful Singing. That is support, and you can only use it once. Will grant live power, and this means 15% status buffs on start of a turn for everyone, and will cleanse debuffs by the end of a turn. We don't have many debuff cleansers. We had for News, that was a very good one. Shirei can also remove debuffs by use of a cheap skill. For News, like I said, there was also Sirius. Not many options. So Diva is a very useful character that brings you something that is kind of rare. And you will also be buffing status by 25% when using this skill. So it's a good start. So your characters have some endurance and will buffs on the start of the fight. And Diva will keep giving you a lot of other effects when she's hit. And then when she decides to attack, she's gonna buff to help you nuke bosses that could not be nuked so easily if you decided to wait. 4 turns you have, so you can decide to use it every 4 turns for the max number of chases and the right moment to nuke a boss. Diva number 5 is an amazing unit, really useful, and also receives a 5 out of 5. This banner is kind of crazy. There is no much competition for Diva, like I said, Emperor. And then Formina. Formina is a better tank when you need to counter. Since she also has defense boost, will also improve damage of the party and can solo content. And I don't think there's anyone that is really close to what Diva does. It's really special, I would say. Well, there are not many characters that are similar to Diva. Not much competition. But Faye was similar in a way that she would also buff SGR for everyone when she was hit, but also will. And then she had a guaranteed chase Axe of Vengeance when she was hit. So better number of chases, but she does not reach the same potential of Diva. Diva is giving a lot of buffs and improving her damage with each new hit. Okay, so in the end of the day, this banner is amazing. It's the best one in a long time. Deserves a Gold Plus award, and it should be the first banner to pull, and one you should be pulling to get at least Tsuna. If you are on pool number 8, for example, and you're still missing one of the characters, I will recommend to pity. That's how good all of them are. And Tsunanori Mido will be useful for the future. He just got a new style on JP. He's pretty popular. Siugnas is strong and gets stronger via Dolores release, and Diva is just so unique that many people will be using her to make some challenges easier. And, well, I guess that is the end. I summoned it here, got all the characters. Also, when compared to Amiya's banner, this banner is still much better. I gave it a silver minus for Amiya, but Amiya banner is still awesome. It's just that we got 2 very good banners in the same week. But if you are low on gens, prioritize Tsuna banner since it is better. And we just got the announcement of 2 other banners, and Lolo is a pretty good support. Let's say that you want to wait because you got 2 of the characters too soon. You can try to pull for Lolo before you decide to get the 3rd one. That's my opinion, and tell me here in the comment section if you agree or not. Thanks so much for helping out with this channel. Click the like button, and I'll see you soon in the next video or live stream. Goodbye.